Hey there, Brainy Marketers. Welcome back to Brainy Marketing. Today we are going to go one level deeper in our discussion on customer lifetime value. Today we're going to focus on service type businesses. So whether you serve other businesses or the general public with services as opposed to products or software or subscriptions, this is the video that's going to be for you, and it's going to help you understand how to calculate this very important metric. So the reason why customer lifetime value is very important, if you haven't already checked that out, my introduction video, there will be a link in the description or somewhere in the frame of this video, and it's going to show you just an introduction to CLV. So the simplest way to kind of illustrate this or jump in is take the example of a law firm. Maybe they offer services to the public as well as to businesses. So once you get a customer to take you up on the first service, let's say it's a business, it's a shareholders agreement that they want you as a law firm to do. Of course, after they've done the shareholders agreement, they're going to want other legal documents as well in the future. They're going to want privacy policies, they're going to want NDAs, the whole works. So basically, it's not just a measure of that first transaction. The worth of that customer to you is the profit you'll make over the next potentially 3, 5, 10 years, however long it is, while you know them. And some of these relationships obviously can go on for yonks and yonks and yonks. And so the reason why this is important is if I'm going to be bringing you customers, or someone's going to be bringing you customers, you will have a certain marketing budget, and you will want to see a certain number of customers signing on that dotted line in exchange for that marketing spend. And so if you know that a customer is worth £1,000 to you in terms of profit, you're willing to spend a lot more than if you think it's only worth £500 to you in profit. So getting that number right is going to have very large implications on what you're willing to spend on your different marketing channels. All right, so with that being said, let's just keep working through this so that you know what to do. Basically, it all comes down to data. If you can, go into the back of your accounting software or your CRM or wherever you're keeping a track of the number of purchases over time that your clients are making. So typically, if you haven't been going around for a while, or you're just new to this, assume 36 months is how long you're going to know the average customer and how long until they stop using you for whatever you're doing. Okay, so what you want to do is go back into your accounting software and look at, okay, over the last year, if you only have a year's worth of data, or over the last 2 years, or hopefully over the last 3 years, how much has the average client spent with me and what have they spent it on, right? So if, let's say, the average client spends 20K over the course of 36 months, and of that, 20% of that number is profit to you, so each client is actually worth to you about 4K on average. So you're willing to spend quite a lot of money to get a client given that number. Of course, you only know how to work this out if you have the data. Otherwise, you're going to have to make some assumptions. You can also ask people in the industry how long they typically retain clients. So you might be able to call up some people. You might be able to ask them to message some people. You might be able to get this information somewhere online as well. Try Googling the average tenure of a client for service type businesses in your area, and you'll probably get a pretty reliable number out of that. So again, when you're working out the profit, what you have to do ideally is have data on how many hours or how much it took you to deliver the project. So obviously, it takes a certain number of hours to deliver the service that you promised someone. So you want to know, were all those projects you were doing profitable? Because if your profitability is only at 5%, then the value of a client is a lot less than if your profitability is at 50%. That just makes sense. So customer lifetime value is a measure of the profit, not just the measure of the revenue, okay? It's the measure of the profit. So it's very important that you have a good idea of that. If you don't already use it, I can recommend a software called Harvest. So after this video, if you're not already tracking billable hours or hours spent delivering services, really consider using a program called Harvest, which I use, which is very good, and it lets you track hours that you're spending on different projects. So if you have the data, fantastic. If you don't, you're going to have to guesstimate quite a bit here. As well, one thing you might want to do after this is keep a track of CLV by department. So as a marketing agency, we obviously offer Facebook advertising, things like search advertising, things like email marketing, like website design. Each of those, I want to know the CLV for each department. And of course, if I want a blended number, I can just take the average of all of them. And so when I'm working with people who are getting me leads or customers in those different channels, I know I'm willing to spend more for a search advertising client than I am for, let's say, a Facebook advertising client, or vice versa, you know? So you do want to make sure that you segment it for your own records in the future. But when you're dealing with something like Larrybot or something like this tool, you want to just keep everything as one number. What is the value of the average client to you across your company over those 3 years? What are they going to get you in terms of profit? Get a good idea for that number. Be conservative if you need to be as well. Don't assume it's going to be huge. Do factor in that in the future things might get different. If you're planning on scaling things down or having more sort of low cost services and getting rid of some of the bigger ones that nobody's doing, or you're pivoting your business a certain way, do try and forecast and think about how that will affect the number. But providing you can just do the basics and factor in a few of these things, it really is a dynamic number that's going to grow over time as you get more data. It's no company has a perfect understanding of LTV. It's just something that we need to estimate, and then we need to get the data back, collect as much data as possible, and refine that over time, guys. Hopefully this was a useful video for you and you understand the basics of LTV. Cheers. Hey there, brainy marketers. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you found it useful, do us a favor and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video on all of your social media channels. So go ahead and do all those things, and we'll see you for the next video. Cheers.